Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Camerata podcast. This is Andres Marquez here on this lovely Tuesday evening, 19th episode of the CamerataCast. We have come so far, and I'm extremely excited for what our guest today has to talk about. This is Tommy Apollo, local psychedelic rock future core musician. Is that a genre? Is futurecore a genre?
I mean, it probably is. If not, there's literally this website I have hard tabbed on my phone that has every genre ever known to man registered on there. So if futurecore is a genre, I would not be surprised.
Oh my god! All
Yeah.
right, well, introduce yourself. You take the floor.
All right. Hi. But yeah. So like as you said, I'm a psych experimental type of musician. I make really weird music, but I'm also really interested in the history of music, and I try to keep a close eye on the industry. And I'm not sure how many people are aware of this at the moment, but you guys should be listening and watching out for a company called Hypgnosis. That is Hypgnosis. Whew, so there almost for a second. And yeah, right. Anyway, but if anyone is familiar with like this particular name, that's because this is Storm Thorgerson's company, and basically anybody you know from your dad to their newest grandson is probably wearing one of this dude's art like t-shirts. Like he's done the Pink Floyd albums, he did Dinosaur Jr. He's done a bunch of albums basically. Um, but so basically, his estate, it sounds like they sold the name to this guy named Merc Mercuriadis, who co-founded Hypnosis with Nile Rodgers. Um, if you know who Nile Rodgers is.
Believe he's another producer, right?
Yeah, he actually was in the band Chic.
Hmm.
And basically, he's one of the most ripped off people in the music industry. Like everything that you've heard, as far as like industry stable pop, and like from the 80s onward, or actually from the 70s onward, it's basically just like 25% ripped off from this guy. He's incredibly talented. And but yeah, so now he is a CEO of Hypnosis, which is a song management company, as they label themselves. Man. And yeah, dude, I'm sorry. It's a lot to explain. But
No, no
basically,
worries, man. Take your time.
yeah, so actually, yeah, so before we get too deep into it, I feel like we should get into some terms everyone should be familiar with. So let me just like read some definition list. So NFTs. An NFT is basically like a digital copyright license. So let's say you're the person that made the Nyan cat. Someone says, "Hey, I like that very much. I'll pay you $800,000 to own the rights to Nyan cat." And you're like, okay, sure. I made this on a whim. It got me a billion hits. Here, you can take Nyan cat for 800,000. That's no problem. And so now the NFT means that this guy now owns Nyan cat. So if someone wants to use Nyan cat in a McDonald's commercial, they have to ask this dude for the rights to use Nyan cat. Um,
So what you're saying is these non-fungible tokens are basically just copyrights. That's all it is. Just very complicated copyrights over a symbol or a meme.
Yeah, exactly. It's a digital copyright because apparently the industry has now discovered and realized that memes are extremely profitable, which that in itself requires a whole other episode. That to me is incredible. But yeah, so NFTs, and then of course everyone should be familiar with like your three assets: your performance rights, the writer's publisher shares, and writer refusal. So basically, those are the three things that like if you're a songwriter or you're in the band, these are the three things that go to you when you make a song in your DIY. The performance rights means anytime your song is played on Spotify or in Target or played live somewhere, you get a share. You get your performance rights, and that funnels money into your pocket. And then, of course, you have your writer's share, which is you wrote the song, so you get a share of your song anytime it's used. And then, of course, you get your publisher share, which is the publisher gets the share of the music. So
Hmm.
whenever it sold, this got to you. Um, Freddie Beinstock, he's the guy that kind of kicked off this entire deal with realizing that hit songs basically aren't they don't diminish in value. You
Right.
write a hit song that is in the top 100 hits of all time. That song is it does not decompose in value. It's not like a car. A car anyway. But yeah, so there's that. Um and so he's kind of the guy that kind of kicked it off, and then that led to the 80s where you got people like fucking Chuck K and Warner and EMI and all these big companies. Basically, these are like the big companies that were coalescing from the record industry. And 1985 is kind of when everything kicked off, when people started to make all these big deals with buying up publisher rights to these songs. And that's kind of where that leads us off to now, where Hypnosis is basically the 2018 version of this, because this is when this dude, Mercuriatis, founded this company and started to like promote it and get investors to get into it. And it's basically just a supercharged version of the kind of the coalescence and the kind of merging of companies and like kind of like the merging of like companies and investment and corporate, like supercharging back into itself once again. And we're experiencing that now kind of again in
Hmm.
the music industry with Hypnosis buying up basically a bunch of publisher rights to top Billboard 100 hits from basically 5 years ago all the way back to like the 70s as far as it can go. And basically they're trying to get all those three assets that I just named. They're trying to get the writers and publisher shares. They're trying to get the performance rights. And with all of that comes writer's refusal, which means anytime that someone wants to use that song for the commercial or for a promotion material, they have the right to say, you're not allowed to use that because you need to pay us more money for it, or we don't feel like that aligns with our values, so we don't want you to use it at all. And yeah, and so they're basically doing that with all these Billboard artists. So I guess to do like a little bit of a list of like what they have as far as like every time like every okay, so imagine this, every single time that one of these songs is played, this this dude gets money. This bald ass motherfucker gets money. Okay, so All I Want for Christmas Is You. They now own that song.
Hmm.
That song makes around 600,000 to $1 million annually.
Jeez.
Yeah, so they have quite a large chunk of that.
Right.
Um, and then they have Don't Stop Believing.
Hmm.
So, did you know that that song was covered 6 times on Glee?
On what?
That song was covered 6 times on Glee.
Oh,
That
the
means,
show.
yeah, on the show Glee, every single, and they only had 6 seasons, so every single season they covered that, and
Hmm.
every single season I think they had to renew the rights to that song. So so basically like we don't know how much Don't Stop Believing is worth because it's just so huge.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the biggest songs that has ever been written, like no question. But Steve Perry alone, who just basically survives off of royalties of this song, his net worth is 60 million.
Ye-
So they got that,
Yeah.
and they
So,
have.
oh,
Okay, go ahead.
yeah, my bad. I just kind of wanted to, I guess, synthesize the point of this. This is basically just the coagulation of music rights from a whole bunch of huge songs and artists under one company. Correct?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And the worst part about it is because that um all the songs and publishing rights is like I said, it's just the top 100% of or sorry, not the my god, my words are tongue tied today.
You're good,
Terrible.
man. You're good.
But no, so it's only like the top 1% of artists, the ones that are like so basically he's only buying up Beyonce's catalog. Um, he's not investing in, for instance, The Damned or Fuzz. Like he would never try to buy Fuzz, for instance.
Right.
Um, because fuzz is not profitable. Like, that's not proven to be Billboard 100 material. We don't like that's not a song. Like anything that's written by Fuzz, according to popular demand, just it's just not going to make it. So the evil thing about Hypnosis is because they're only investing in the top 1%, they're basically building a legacy size catalog. There, because like this company is worth I think it's like 1.67 billion at the moment, and this
Hmm.
company is only 2 years old,
Right.
and that's a lot of investment into basically what is like what everyone considers the best music of all time. And so it's worse than anything that we've ever seen. It's worse than record companies. It's worse than studios, and it's way worse than a publishing company, honestly.
Hmm.
And and the main reason is because whenever you have like a record label or someone tries to start a record label, what they have to do is they have to go out and search for talent, right? They try to go into the local scene and they try to raise artists, right?
Yeah.
So, for instance, like let's say Camerata, you search for 100 artists into the scene, man, because you have enough funding to record 100 artists in this pretty nice studio,
Hmm.
and you've already made a deal with the publishing where it's like just get them published, put them out there, let's see what they make. You have your 100 artists and they all record 100 albums. Um, More than likely, 90% or 90 of these artists are not going to amount to like anything. They're not going to make it because people are just they're not okay with it, or it's just too much of the same of something that has already been heard.
Right.
About 5 to 7 of those people are going to have like a really decent career where like they'll still be like tour around the world and stuff. They'll basically be like upper middle class musicians.
Hmm.
But then of course you're banking on the fact that there's going to be like 3 or 4 of these artists that are like worldwide fame that reaches beyond what anyone else could have thought of as far as like what their music does, as far as like just pure reach. And so they go platinum, they're touring a ton. You have great graphic designers behind you, so they're selling merch like crazy. And this basically pays for the entire loss that you spent on the other 90 people that couldn't make it because of varying reasons, right?
Yeah, I get that.
All
So,
right.
so what I want to, if you don't mind me asking, I want to ask specifically in what way this is worse for independent artists or worse for artists that are not, already in that legacy slash ultra pop status of musicians.
Well, the problem is that so we already see that we've already seen the exploitation of music.
Hmm.
Um, but the problem is that this dude, since he owns everything, he's basically going to be doing that like 5 to 10 times over. Every single time that you will go into a store, you're going to hear like all these different musics. And what the reason that this is difficult for independent artists is because like this makes it so much harder for you as an independent artist to tell someone that hey, my music is worth this much money that you should pay for this commercial. And that's because like let's say you're an independent artist, you really believe in your music. Like let's say for me, for instance, I really believe in one of my songs. I
Hmm.
take Sunny Suburban Saturday to like Old Navy or something, and they're like, yeah, here we think it's dorky enough. We'll take Sunday Suburban Saturday. We'll
Hmm.
pay you, and I'll be like, okay, I want according to like your gross sales, I want like 500,000 for this commercial, and they're like, okay, um, no, why would we do that? Your song has like less than 1,000 plays on Spotify. We see that you have like 3 monthly listeners. Why would we buy your thing for $500,000 for when at the same price we could lease Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah, I can understand the devaluing aspect that this sort of corporate method has. Um I mean, I personally I can see how this would be more effective in terms of media. Like I can see how it can keep, how do you say, it could keep people from, my bad. Gotta sort the words out. Uh,
No worries.
but I could see how it could keep producers of television shows and producers of movies from grabbing at more independent or locally based artists. If for some reason this NFT like company were just selling these songs at low enough rates, I could see how that could just bog down the market, as it were, of music.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I definitely see your point there, and I can see that it is rather insidious, especially since after reading some of the marketing material for Hypnosis, the marketing placed it in such a light where it seemed as though they were trying to get across a message that, like, oh yeah, this is going to help artists in general. This is to help artists gain more monetary control over their works, and it's like, yeah, some artists, like a very, very small percentage of artists who probably don't actually need that financial backup. And that's definitely one of the things that really struck me because, like, it's very obvious that this is like an NFT, like almost like an NFT sort of scam,
Yeah,
just creating these mintable tokens out of songs. So yeah,
exactly.
it's going to close the door on a lot of artists in terms of their market worth. It's such a gross term, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, and then of course, like when he says like, oh, he's giving monetary control to artists and songwriters and stuff, all he means is that he's writing a bigger check than any publishing is willing to write at the moment. Because normally, these publishing companies want to pay like, let's say like 5 times what someone would make in a year on a song. So let's say you make $1 million a year in a song. A publishing company would be like, we'll buy your song for $5 million.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Hypnosis will be like, we'll pay you 20 million because why not? We have enough money for it.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, well, yeah, so you're giving me basically 400% more than what this person was going to pay me. So I can see how it seems like I'm getting way more control. But at the same time, if this dude has $20 million worth of investment money to spend on my song, that means he needs to make $20 million worth of investment money back from my song, which means licensing it everywhere. But I think what's worse about this is that, like, I mean, we all know that, like, um, all of us indie artists have nothing but an uphill battle to fight versus, like, not only do we feel like we have to like somewhat compete with ourselves as far as like the hundreds of thousands of us that are just making music on our own, doing our best to cultivate an audience honestly,
yeah,
versus like Z-list all the way up to A-list musicians who we're trying to say, look, guys, our music is just as important, if not better, than these people up here. And what Hypnosis did, if you can see with the TikTok trend, um, there was this huge explosion when Miley Cyrus came out with Heart of Glass, which is a cover by Blondie, um, you know, which
yeah.
Hypnosis owns.
Mhm.
So, the main point most people were making, and the point that I saw especially, was that like TikTok is one of these very much like new platforms. It's like a Gen Z in the know type of platform. It's where like it's almost it's actually quite fascinating. I really like TikTok now that I've been kind of getting into it. But you wouldn't consider this like a platform for old stuff. But the thing is that like since more people are onboarding onto it, with Miley Cyrus covering Heart of Glass and there being a huge explosions of trends because TikTok is able to create colossal memes that create small. It's almost like a cascade, true trickle down effect of like how many memes you can make in order to get that much more popularity, to get you that much more of an edge on your social life. Um, Instead of like listening to new music, now they're preoccupied with Heart of Glass, which, don't get me wrong, Blondie's great. Miley Cyrus, we can debate that. Um, but like at the same time, it would be more appropriate, like speaking for every new artist, that like it would have been better if some new artists got exposure from that TikTok and versus something that happened because of the machine.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So just to be clear, if people aren't in the know about TikTok being a total hit machine at the moment, then that's pretty much the case. Like TikTok has kind of given birth to a massive amount of popularity in music specifically. It's not just the
Oh,
platform,
yes.
memes and stuff. It's the fact that people are using music in such a way that it generates massive amounts of interest in it. And I've seen a lot of indie stuff get pretty viral. But you're right, there is also a tendency for people, or not just people, but for the machine to forward the popularity of already popular songs. It's basically like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly. And like I feel like I mean, like some hate, but like for instance, when rumors got huge because Dogface 420 decided to skate down that shit to TikTok, it's like it's pretty ridiculous that the machine was like, okay, well, yeah, now we know what we can do. Let's give it a test run, and I don't know, man. It's
Nah,
just tough.
yeah,
It's just
it's.
tough out there.
Oh, by the way, I turned up the gain a little on my mic because I wasn't seeing anything on the waveform. So
Oh
if
no,
I'm fucking loud at the moment, please let me know.
I would turn it down just a slight bit.
All right, how's this? Is this
It
good? Is
just a little bit more.
this good?
Yeah,
All right,
that's
cool.
good.
All
Yeah,
right, so in there, this is something that I kind of wanted to talk about at some length on the channel at some point. So I'm glad you brought it up. This is definitely only one of the most recent sort of music industry scams and frauds that has been occurring. Because as I've come to discover, the music industry in a way is almost like the fine art industry in that it can be used to launder money in the most insidious of ways. It's actually quite genius, but it's also like incredibly disappointing, especially if you are an indie artist who's just trying to grab a slightly larger piece of the pie than you already have.
yeah,
Yeah. We were talking earlier before we started recording about Spotify, and I'll put a little link to the video in the YouTube vid, and of course I'll send it to you as well, Tommy. But basically, there is this ongoing, just massive fraud that Spotify is pulling, wherein it is hiring out producers to create very like obviously low effort ambient tracks to put on its own playlist, Spotify's very popular music playlist that it curates itself. It has the rights to these songs in terms of who gets money when they're played.
yeah,
Therefore, what is happening is that Spotify has a whole mess of its own songs that are in very popular playlists, and they're collecting millions of hits. And that is just bringing a whole slice of advertising revenue back into the pockets of Spotify's CEO and shareholders. It is garbage, to say the very least. It is just taking even more money that should be going towards, artists that aren't affiliated with the company in some sort of shell corporation form. Um, it's just taking more money from them than is already being taken. It's absolute, just it's trash.
yeah. Of course, and honestly, like, it's honestly not even shocking at this point because, like, so I mean, I don't know how many people like. I mean, I hope most bands are getting into their logistics at this point, or like their statistics and analytics and stuff. I mean, it's really boring. Like I would almost rather learn how to do my taxes than look at these analytics. I don't know how people have the attention span for it. But basically Spotify for Artists makes this huge deal about all this like type of promotion and stuff you're able to do. And they even recently, it was, well, not recent, it was like a year or something ago before coronavirus actually hit, they were trying to promote this idea of Spotify Studios. And they were trying to say like, oh, if like worried about recording, no more. Some bullshit tagline like that about like, oh, well, we're gonna be opening studios. You can come and record here. And I know for a fact, like, or rather, now that you brought up that scandal, I would not be the least bit fucking surprised that they decided to just kind of usher that shit in because they thought they could get away with it, or they could try to make what gains they thought they would lose from COVID after
Hmm.
spending so much money on these studios that no one's going to be able to record in.
Right.
Little did they not fucking believe in themselves that, oh wow, we have a fucking monopoly on the goddamn streaming surface, and we're up by like who knows how much in our fucking stock market at this fucking point, dude. It was ridiculous.
Hmm.
And yeah, I would not be the least bit surprised if they brought in these fucking like artists to record in their like studios that no one else is using, pristine. They don't have to waste any money and just pump out these tracks, so they're spending even less money to to just funnel back, dude. It is absolutely sickening how like if you just have a little bit of like efficiency or like machinery that you can like do or even slightly automate, that you're able to just pump out way more than what actually should be worth
Hmm.
at this point. Like it, and it's really fucking disheartening because like ambient is getting huge, and honestly I'm very happy for ambient. I love that shit.
Oh, same,
um
dude.
yeah, like I'm definitely doing more into like some drone stuff, some more like atmospheric stuff, because I like the idea and I feel like the production is much more challenging than, let's just say, like a quartet, a punk quartet or something. But
Hmm.
like yeah, and now the fact is that they're trying to flood a market with people that are just literally just like setting and forgetting, and just the fact that they're filling these spots with people that are already contracted to them to make money
Yeah.
is just, yeah, dude, never a fair shot no matter where you go,
Hmm.
right?
That is another thing that I wanted to talk about with you, and hopefully something I can talk about with more of the artists that we have in the future on here.
Hmm.
I want to ask you specifically if you are aware of any methods, means, platforms, anything along those lines in which independent artists, independent musicians, or any sort of artist really can just, you know, get a better hang of becoming part of the market, as it were. And I hate saying that because I hate art being a commercialized thing, but that's the kind of the reality of the situation. We gotta, at some point, we kind of just gotta jump into this giant polluted lake of capitalist bullshit, um, so that we might have a slim chance of making a living off our work. So again, I wanted to forward the question to you. Is there any sort of platform or method that you are aware of that is, currently helping artists become either commercially viable, or helping them carve their own niche within their independent or local scene?
Honestly, like that's a tough one. um I feel like I've been looking for that answer myself. Like I've been on forums like Reddit and stuff like that. I mean, most people have. I mean, most people like other podcasts. Want to mention quick shout out to like Money for Nothing, Music and Capitalism. They're absolutely fantastic. Um, but I heard that like Bandcamp has. I mean, they've been doing what they can for artists as
Yeah.
far as like giving revenue and stuff like that for. And it seems like they've been doing like quite a fair job, because it seems like a lot of people have been putting them kind of under scrutiny. Um, SoundCloud, however, it feels like that's kind of a sinking ship.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. Man, honestly, I feel like if I re-scroll through like some of my like my Instagram apps, I'll see some of these like sponsored apps that I keep getting. It's just like, oh, DIY musician, why don't you try this out? And
Yeah.
honestly, I've been slacking because I've had a kind of a bad time with like I just call them proto apps. It feels like there's
Hmm.
just not enough um enough going on there. But
Yeah.
I'll try to keep everybody updated on it
Of
as
course.
far as that stuff goes.
I
But
think. Oh,
go.
my bad. My bad. I That's a habit I got to break. Just got to listen until there's an end to the sentence.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. I do tend to run on a lot. But I was gonna say, in my personal opinion, I mean, I feel like at some point, we really have to like realize that if we're gonna compete with a machine, that we also have to become a sort of machine. Like technology and like technology is making shit harder every single day as far as
Hmm.
like funding corporate. At the same time though, technology has gotten vastly much better than like the DIY days of the 70s, for instance,
Right.
right? Like things are so much more accessible now. Things are so much better. The type of used equipment that you can get significantly more substantial than what you could get back then. And I think that at some point, like, yeah, you have to keep using platforms like Spotify or not. Sorry, not Spotify, like Bandcamp. Um, I mean, yeah, you'll have to do stuff and like put stuff up on Spotify, like YouTube Music and stuff like that. Because you need to, you got to keep promoting yourself. But there comes a point where it's like, see what you can do as far as like making a whole show and like really connecting with everybody deep in your community with this like you stay after shows, you talk to band members, you say, "Hey man, I really like what you do. We should keep playing shows together. Here's a checklist of things that I would like to have like let's throw our own festival, for instance."
Oh yeah.
you know and like cuz and like yeah, it's going to be really hard to think of all the stuff like logistics, security, how do you have a stage, how do you get the equipment, who has enough trucks, are you going to be able to run a van, and like all this other stuff. But it really is a matter of like you kind of have to be hands on in this ideal. Like you kind of have to be like hands on, I would say, if you want to really figure out like how to truly compete with what's going on. Because I don't know, I feel like either at some point it's going to get so big as far as all these things are going to get so low they'll collapse on themselves, or they're going to get so colossally huge that there's no way for us to do it but that way, where
Yeah.
we're kind of like there in future utopia and we're back in the Stone Age.
Oh yeah, I mean, going back to what you were saying about starting your own festival or networking, as it were, working with other bands and artists. I think that's kind of the key, though. I think if you really want to be able to strengthen your indie scene, your local scene, then you got to work together with them on every level. You got to get together with the artists that you enjoy, the artists that are I guess basically on your level when it comes to relevance.
Uh-huh.
And you got to just work together. That's the thing that I see. It's music and art has been made into a competition. If you want to be able to make a living off your work, then somebody else is going to have a harder time doing that if you succeed. And we got to kind of shirk that mindset, because that's not sustainable, first of all.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
just morally suspicious to me, honestly. But that of course, that's a whole another thing. Some people have different morals. Some people are okay with this situation. I can't I can't change that from here, so I'm not going to try and argue that from here. But again, making your indie scene strong and building up indie musicians and indie artists in your area, it's
Mhm.
like it's almost like radicalizing people. You can't do it over the internet. You can't fucking you can't say, "Hey, join this new political group that's aiming to abolish prisons." You can't effectively do that from Facebook or Instagram. That stuff has to be communicated in person to be able to really, create that connection that creates an actual sort of love for a cause and love for a people. That has to
Exactly.
happen from the ground.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I think it's also important that because especially like if you go and just post this to the internet, you're just like, hey, we're gonna create a community to abolish prisons or whatever, like, and you have nothing to show for it.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter how much money you've pumped into a promotion, nobody's going to really care about it. And so it really speaks because like so you have to have a community, because and you have to have a diverse group of people in that community, and that way, so when you have something to show for it and you've shown like work for what you've done, and then you go and post it and stuff like that, then I believe that could be effective in like reaching out to people and showing like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, hey, like this is what we've done, we really believe that we've done it, and we believe that anybody else can do it too, or like, we're just gonna keep growing and try to help people that can like Gurren Lagann anime and like style inspire people to fucking just be like, yeah, let's go take over some battleships, dude. Let's make our own internet and solar panels, and we'll build our own stage. Like, it might get people to do that. You never know.
Dude, just mentioning Gurren Lagann, now I'm inspired.
Ah, dude,
Now I'm like, yes, let's do it.
let's do it, man. I do need help with this festival though that is coming up in October. I'm really trying to pull together, but
Hey man,
more
I'm there. I'm there.
glad to hear it, dude. But yeah, dude, like, cause like, yeah, community is very important, and I think that, yeah, um, I was also thinking about this just right now. I also think that in an artist community, especially, I think it's high past time that we have like sort of some sort of like mental health, like, I guess, mental health watch, mental health check, like somewhat like every once in a while, everyone from all the bands where it's like, hey, everybody doing okay? How's life doing? Like, kind of like a like let it out if things have been kind of bad, because I feel like we don't like check up on mental health a lot, and I
Hmm.
feel like, that really helps permeate all the toxicity and radicalization of like, well, it's us versus, everybody else. We got to make it to the top. Let's stomp on some people to get there.
Yeah.
Because like if everyone feels like they're kind of like cared for, or even if like they don't feel like they're like completely cured, but they feel like the people around them like actually care, like I feel like that really helps like people to show up for their shows, or for people to want to do a show in the first place, or open up their house or something, or be like, oh, you know what, yeah, dude, I can make it to the show because I have an extra like speaker cab or something, like that kind of stuff. The small things, the minuscule things that eventually super task into like just a better mood for the people around you and for like the
Hmm.
local scene.
Yeah, I get that, man. And it's like there's a whole bunch of stuff that you can do in terms of just checking up on artists and helping out. Being aware of the mental health of your community and your community members. That's definitely a huge part of it. You're right. I don't see that a lot in local scenes. Um, I mean, there's a whole bunch of other stuff too, though. Like there's being aware of the physical situation of artists in your community. Like if people are not, if people might not be getting enough food in their home, if they're not able to pay rent, that sort of stuff also really just like, if you help make people aware of this and help people help each other out, then that shit goes far. It's not even talking about the industry though, or the music community. That's talking about just like community in general.
Oh yeah, of course. And like, I mean, if we want to be like sort of like the grander scheme of things, like, yeah, music is about community at
Hmm.
its very heart. And I feel like, yeah, of course, with the at this point hyper financialization of music, and like the American horror story of you must be a capitalist like superstar has really driven it like far and wide from like what it used to be. And so it's really important that we eventually like return back to those roots.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, I'm not saying like, oh, your band's getting big, some A&R guy manages to get you a deal so you can play Coachella. Like, like, cool, man. Like, if you feel like that's what you want to do, like, I'm not gonna fucking stop you
Hmm.
personally. But like, don't be out there being a dick, showing up to fucking shows, saying, "Look, I have 4K more followers in this fucking band. Drop them from the show so me and my entourage can party here." Like, don't be throwing a beer at the crowd. Like, yeah, dude. And just because you think like, oh well, because I'm just that much better than everybody else, I don't need to care about these people around me. You know?
Yeah, that's one of the worst parts about the arts in this sort of environment. It's just art has become so tied to ego that you're right. Shit like that happens where people just like become so self-important that they just bring moods down, or even worse, they actually like end up making situations worse for other artists. It's like, man, how could you possibly believe that you were the best at anything when there's entire communities of musicians both before you and contemporary to you, that are probably either just as amazing or if not more than amazing than you are. It's like that's the thing. It's like there's a whole bunch of stuff we can unpack, but you know, long story short, you drop the ego because not only is that not going to help you, not only is that not realistic in terms of how you think of yourself, but it's not going to help other people.
Yeah, and I feel like this kind of like I can tie this back to hypnosis and the entire idea of like, yeah, dude, like for anyone that thinks that they're gonna be a huge songwriter or like anything, or like they think that like like no one at hypnosis cares about the sanctity of songs or music or anything as a whole. Now Rogers just wants to have his money. Now Rogers wants his money back that, the industry stiffed from him. And Mercury Curiatis is not someone who's this paragon, battle hardened, virtuous, like this guy of industry. Like he's not a titan of industry. The reason he's big as a manager is because he called up somebody he knew one day after like realizing that what he was doing wasn't making him as much money as he thought, and was like, "Oh, I think I want to become a manager." Because managers get like percentage cuts of things that the band does. And his friend was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Well, this band called Iron Maiden is really hitting it off right now. They're like doing really good. They're about to embark on a world tour. Do you want to manage them?" So this dude hopped in on a flight that was already sent straight to the fucking moon. This dude is nobody but a fucking parasite.
Mhm.
And I think that it's just making it even worse for everybody else, because once again, like this will shake down to like to the lowest industry once again, like unless we truly are like we start rejecting the idea of like just, oh, nostalgia and music was better back then, and or like or in general, like, oh, the greatest bands have already ever happened, you know.
Right.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
I
Go
know.
on.
No, I was like, and that's just kind of where I stand on hypnosis. I'm just like, I don't trust these people whatsoever, and I'm hoping that um I don't know. There was some things in some articles that I read to where like the last time people tried to do this, like it just wasn't successful enough, and it kind of just like died. But I just don't know. I don't know if with the staying power of the internet and like just the ability of like just bots and data collecting, I don't know if it's possible for this to fail.
I mean, I that's our only hope at this point. Either that or something far more extreme occurring that upsets the industry as a whole. But you're right. It's very. You're right. The roots within the internet, which are itself, which itself propagates not only memes but success through memes.
Yeah.
The staying power of that just has the chance to make it so that hypnosis, doesn't fall, and it's too big to fail, as it were. And that's a scary thought in terms of like, well, if they're able to pull this off, who is going to try creating like smaller versions of hypnosis that end up, siphoning value from other, distant forms of music.
Yeah, exactly. Because like you already said with the Spotify, with the shell corporations for ambience, who's not to say that, yeah, we could have some like ambience strictly hypnosis. It's like, oh well, we're trying to buy up all the catalogs to like all your favorite ambient songs or soundtracks,
Hmm.
and it could just be like eventually, yeah, these small, and then that could even like turn into some crazy ass thing where it's like, well, now these bigger companies that are doing that have smaller song management companies that pretend to be the better song management company that are actually tech connected, and then it'll just trickle back up again and be a repeat of what we used to have.
Yeah, it's it's insane. We just got to keep working towards the future that is more equitable and the future that actually shows a wider chance of not necessarily success, but the ability to really just subsist off of art or subsist off of the work that you're passionate about.
Exactly. And I think that it also is important that, like, that people also, value this, like value that work properly and stuff as well, you know?
Hmm.
Because yeah, and I'm not sure like how one would go about educating like the community as far as like, oh well, this is why my art is important. But I guess at the end of the day, like as long as you can be extremely charming about it or just likable enough, you could probably be like, hey, you mind supporting my art?
Yeah, I get that. I mean, in I don't think it's really that. I guess ham-fisted,
That's
as it
true.
were. I don't think it's really just telling people like my art is important. I think what has to happen is exposure to not only your art but art that is similar to your art, or art that might not be similar but is in the same place physically. Like if you're listening to somebody's listening to your music at a show and they dig it, and it's like, well, they might just dig other bands that are playing as well, and it becomes this sort of like chain reaction of exposing people to different stuff. And
Yeah.
that's really the education, as it were. It's not just like actually teaching people to value music or
Hmm.
value different types of music, because that stuff isn't really taught. It's more synthesized within you.
It's more like an organic, like organically influenced, where it's like, yeah, like you said, like if I'm playing my music with a bunch of other bands that sound similar, someone might be like, "Oh, this is just this type of like this is just a music form. I think I'm gonna like it," type of deal.
Hmm.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely.
Yeah, so we're gonna wind this down if you don't mind. We got a few minutes left. I mean, we don't have a time limit, but I say
Oh,
that
of
just because
course.
this segment usually takes a few minutes. At the end of each of our episodes, we typically have this little thing where we just shout out different artists, different creators, or groups in our community that we know of. Just talk a little bit about them and how they're inspiring us at the moment, and you know, just to give props to the community. If you don't mind, I will start because there are some people that came up during this conversation that I really just want to get the word out to or about. First off, I want to give a big old shout out to Femsynth Lab. These folks are the organizers of a number of different community projects, and one of them is a sort of synth library, a synthesizer library that it's like a library, but for synths. You really just can, rent a synthesizer or, other forms of music instrument, but it's based around that. You can rent it from this group, and all of these synths come from people who donate their own musical equipment for the sake of letting other folks, have the chance to enjoy and create with it. And Femsynth Lab's pretty cool. How do you say, they are centered around prioritizing the needs and wants of the BIPOC community and people who are, I guess, non-white, non-cis, non-male, folks who
The
generally
not
have,
YT people.
yeah, yeah, the folks who've had it tough, as it were. But yeah, that's definitely something that's needed because, as you're probably aware, that is where the focus when it comes to music has been, and the inequity has kind of been shoved off to people who are just not of um, that appearance, as it were. I don't know words for race that aren't like extremely harsh or uh, you know hand wavy. So hope you forgive me for that. In any case, FemSynth Labs are super cool. If you have
Femsynth
equipment
Lab.
that you would like to donate to this group that are helping musicians realize their dreams and their passions, just check out FemSynth Lab on Instagram. I'll put the link in the YouTube, whatever. And yeah, that is it.
Nice. All right. Well, as far as local artists, I guess shout out to this guy Spencer Martin. It's just at Spencer Martin Music. He's in engineering, mixing, mastering. Um, I was looking at my catalog and I realized I wanted to do like sort of like a phase one release of some music that I liked, and I'm having him remaster some of my tracks that I actually had you do some drums on, dude.
Oh, sick.
Did I ever send you those tracks for you to listen to after the
No, I don't.
master?
I don't think you have,
Ah,
man.
dude, I should send it to you. There, It's fantastic, dude. He did a great job. But yeah, so he does great work, and his prices are very affordable. He also has like a first time deal, which I found fantastic. He's also like very what's the word, responsive,
Hmm.
and also as a bonus, he has his cat. His cat's amazing. He sometimes will post pictures of him or
Oh,
her,
I love it.
right? And yeah, I wish I had some like local artists that would that I had like listening to recently, but nobody that I know has been like releasing music,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
I mean, it's just what happens sometimes. There's a lull, and then there's the flow after the ebb.
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to think. Oh, um, there are a couple local musicians that I've been listening to. Not necessarily have released music recently, but I always go back to their stuff just because they're super cool. Apollo Bebop.
And the end of days with nothing up on your dinner plate. Now you're left starving, man, it's hard not to get enraged. But I try to stay on the bright side, cause I know this pain won't last a lifetime. So when life hands a lemonade, go ahead and drink it, it's already made. Count your blessings. Count your blessings.
Saw those guys 2019. They played this awesome show at the 4th Street Market. Yeah, they do like a really cool combination of jazz and hip hop. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Listen to them though; they're fucking awesome. If you want to hear some really chill, jazzy beats.
All right,
Um,
I'm downloading their 2020 album.
oh wow, you really got on that.
I gotta hop onto it as fast as I can. Dude, I miss out on so much music if I don't like download it. Like I literally just learned Steve Albini was in Big Black.
Steve-O, you mean the guy from fucking Jackass, Steve-O?
No, Steve Albini.
Oh, Steve Albini. Oh, my bad.
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't.
No, not the same guy.
I just didn't understand what you were saying for a second.
Oh
My
yeah,
bad.
no, my bad. I tend to mumble. But yeah, no, Steve Albini was in Big Black, and I was like, holy shit, no way. But yeah, even though I did get turned on to this one band, Surf Tapes. He's
Surf Tape.
interesting. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I gotta check that out. This isn't a local band. This is a band that came to mind based on just community, the concept of community. On YouTube, there's a channel called Apartment Sessions, and it's just this huge group of folks. Like sometimes there are over like 50 or so folks that gather in this person's apartment, and they all record these beautiful sounding, high quality recordings of covers of popular songs. But all it's stuffed in this apartment. Like I don't know how to describe it because it's just like such a weird feeling, like seeing like half of this band on one floor of this loft and then seeing the camera person just kind of run down the stairs, and then there's the other half of the band in the living room, and then there's like people playing in a bedroom all at the same time. It's such an amazing thing to see. But yeah, those folks, definitely show them some love. They're still releasing music. If you want to see something incredible in terms of just organizing people into a musical ensemble, check out Apartment Sessions.
Nice. That's
All right. Well, if do you have anything else that you'd like to say before we log off?
um I mean, if anyone's interested in trying out my music, I did release something in 2020 called Raging Red Tides. It's combination ESPDM, electronic surf, prog, dance
Hmm.
music, electronic surf, punk, electronic surf, psych, whatever you want that P to be. Really, it's in there. But yeah, synths, guitars, drum machines. Good drum machines are cool and they're never late. Oh man.
That's why I'm out of a job.
Oh, dude, you're not late either. I'm
I'm just
sorry. I think you're the exception, my boy.
I'm
You
messing.
always
I'm
saying good
messing,
shit.
dude.
Nah, I know. I
I'm
know.
messing.
of course. But yeah, dude, I thought it was an interesting project. If you uh the last half of the album is the best part. But yeah. Oh yeah, and in short, fuck Hypgnosis. And you have to start throwing out all your Journey CDs and your Blondie ones too.
Yeah, just never listen to anything that hit the billboards ever again.
Yeah, dude, nothing. Cause I mean, honestly, it like they hit the billboard once. Why does it need to hit it there again? So watch out from anything from Hypnosis, Roundhill, Lyrical Capital Group, Tempo Music Group, which is Warner and Providence. If you want to have even worse a time, and then of course Concord Music Publishing, which oh my god, dude, David Bowie, Grateful Dead, Lady Gaga, Madonna, Rage Against the Machine, Stevie Wonder, Beyonce, Carrie Underwood. There you go.
Jeez, it's so weird thinking that Rage is a part of like a record label's catalog.
Oh, dude, it makes perfect sense when you look at who's actually singing their music.
How so?
I mean, you saw all those people waving "Make America Great Again" flags and just in apparel singing "Killing in the Name of" at a
Shit.
yeah, that was a huge thing on TikTok, dude. They're like, wow, these people do not understand what they're fighting against. And honestly, dude, I can tell you as someone who has roadied for a local cover band that plays at places like Pepe's Mexican Grill,
Hmm.
um these people are not listening to Rage and absorbing an anti-establishment progressive Marxist idealist system. These people are just angry
Mm.
people.
Oh man, that's such an ironic thing. Just like fucking the people who interviewed with Noam Chomsky, the people who stormed like what was the fucking Wells Fargo building in 2005. Now their
Oh
music
my
is being
god.
sung by people who are like, yeah, fight the machine, vote Trump. That's he's our savior.
Oh yeah, one of my ex drummers was like, Trump is punk rock as fuck. I'm like, I'm about to fight you, sir. You are about to die.
That's fucking rancid, dude. That's actually vile.
That is extremely vile.
Trump is punk rock. I hate that.
I
That's
hate it so much, dude. I'm like, I don't even consider myself really that punk rock, and I'm just thoroughly disgusted.
Hmm, man.
Man,
All
dude.
right, so we'll be logging off. Hopefully, nobody is completely depressed after hearing this podcast. Hopefully, everybody is you've got the Gurren Lagann in you.
Yeah, dude.
Hopefully, you're inspired.
Yeah, let's be inspired, dude. Gurren Lagann it, dude. I mean, like I said, I can plan festivals. I have access to audio equipment. Anyone else that kind of needs it, we'll talk prices, whatever we can do. But like, yeah, dude, just remember to help out, whatever you can offer. Talk with the bands that you've played with, even if it's just to say like, I like your stuff.
Mhm.
Like, we should play more shows, um, or try to throw shows ourselves.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
definitely, dude.
yeah, because no matter what, guys, you will always have that power to just talk to people, get to know each other, and build community through that.
Yeah, that's our greatest weapon right now: our voice and our ability to reason
Exactly.
and empathy. That I mean
Hell
that
yeah.
I don't want to keep going on because I'm fucking hungry. But that's another thing that we definitely need more of in any artistic community. Just the ability to emphasize. Not only does that create like greater art from yourself as a person who is learning and improving their empathy,
Hmm.
but that also just creates better communities around you as you're able to better understand people's issues, better understand how to help them, and also better understand how to set your own boundaries when it comes to helping others, helping yourself, as it were.
Exactly.
I can go on.
Exactly. Fantastic point, man.
All right. Well, I'm gonna grab me a sandwich. I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you again. This has been a great episode, a great conversation.
Hell yeah, man. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you, man. All right. CamerataCast, episode 19. This has been your host, Andres Marquez. This has been Tommy Apollo. Check out his work. He's got an Instagram, Tommy Apollo. Check out his Spotify. His what platform would you rather people listen to you on? Before we go, final thing.
Oof, that's a tough one. Yeah, honestly, I would rather you guys buy the Bandcamp, but if you guys must pick a platform, SoundCloud for now. SoundCloud is good. Leave a comment, pretty please, no matter what it is.
All right, you heard it. If you can't purchase his work from Bandcamp, then check out his SoundCloud. Once again, Andres Marquez, and we're signing off. Adios.